Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 64th part of What If Deku Had a Robot Wolf. I hope you enjoy. Link to the original story and author in the description. Chapter 64, I-Expo Part 3. Izumi sighed as she, Achiko and Durandal made their way back to the expo grounds. She was still a bit peeved about not being able to know exactly how Melissa was able to make a suit of armor around her. It probably had something to do with her alien biology, but the not knowing was just annoying her. She's probably going to have to make a notebook just for aliens now because she had a feeling there were more than just Cardrians living on Earth. Anyway, ignoring the bombshell but was being told that aliens were ready and that she was probably dating one, as well as having one as a little sister, not that that was going to stop her from calling Eri her little sister. That girl was just adorable and she would not be denied. This had been one hectic holiday. She had asked to not get attacked by villains during this trip, but apparently, someone decided to not listen to her and dumped a villain attack on her. Not how she wanted to spend her first week of summer vacation, but it could have been worse. At least it was over quickly. If only she could find a way to replicate that Cardrian armor, name still pending. Being able to use one for all at 100% made her feel unstoppable. There was still a lot about one for all she didn't know, but, hopefully, she'd have the answers she needed before she had to face all for one. It did not take them long to get back to the expo. There was still a lot for them to see and do, but, now that the preview event was over, there were a lot more people walking around the expo. So it was a lot busier than yesterday. You think we'll be able to find our friends among this crowd? Achiko asked, looking around. We can just send them a text to see where they are, Durandal replied. Shouldn't take too long. You do that, Izumi said. Knowing the others, they are probably somewhere around here. Durandal nodded and sent Momo a text asking for her location. Once they had her location, it did not take long for them to rejoin the others. They were all enjoying a musician making music with an odd-looking instrument. It looked like a mix between an electric guitar, violin, and drum. It was odd, but the music was impressive. Once the man had finished his performance and basked in the applause, the group left and continued where they left off yesterday. Exploring the expo. This is so cool. May said happily. There's just so much here. So many ideas. Momo chuckled. It's nice to see her enjoying herself. Not as much fun as we're having, Nijire said with a smirk as she leaned into Momo's side. Could have done without yesterday's villain attack though. I didn't mind being wrapped up in those bindings, but I could have done without the guys pointing guns at us. You have me both, Himiko remarked. I didn't even get to stab anyone. Chiharu blushed. Oh God, there's more of them. Why am I surrounded by horny women? Yeah, the villain attack really brought what was supposed to be a relaxing evening down, Sue said. How did they even get onto the island, Ribbit? They had inside help, Achiko replied. At least one of the scientists helped them. There may be more, but island security is still rounding people up. Of course you would have an idea of what happened, Himiko said with a smirk. You, Izumi and Durandal were the only ones not captured during the party and got to save the day. No fair. Well, we were kind of late to the party, Izumi said nervously. Plus it wasn't just us, we had help from one of the Millennium Academy students. Kleiner. Oh, the cute wolf girl. Nijire said. Yeah, her, Achiko said. She helped us immensely in dealing with the villains. Her quirk is quite powerful. Yeah, it was so cool when Izumi smashed through the ceiling after punching the villain through the entire building. Himiko said with a smile. Shame you can't be recognized for your efforts. Izumi nodded. Unfortunately, due to not possessing a hero license, not even a provisional one, none of them could be mentioned in helping out deal with the villains. Instead, brave members of Island's security teams dealt with them. Annoying, yes, but it was sadly necessary. Didn't want to be charged with vigilantism now, did they? That would kind of ruin their careers. So, Izumi, May said, getting all up in Izumi's face. What was that armor you were wearing? Because I swear that wasn't Durandal. You are, sorry May, but that's kind of classified, Izumi said. I don't even know what the armor was. May let out a disgruntled groan. Oh. And here I was hoping to find out how they made organic armor like that. Aren't you already working on a lot of things? Chiharu asked. I am, May replied with a smile. But having a few more projects and ideas on the go can't hurt. Chiharu sighed. Just don't overdo it, okay? I don't want to see you overworking yourself. Right, sure, May said with a nod. Izumi smiled, it was almost cute seeing May like this. Almost. It only took one wrong word and everything would go to hell. May starts inventing, and everything explodes. It was then that they saw Harold and Astrid walk over to them. Kleiner walked along behind them. Hello, my Japanese friends. Harold said as the three walked over. Ah, Harold, Astrid, Kleiner. It's good to see you again, Izumi said with a smile. It's good to see you as well, Harold said. Yesterday was rather crazy, what with those villains? Yeah, I could really have done without it, Sue said. I just wanted to relax, ribbit. Not have someone point a gun at my face. Agreed, Astrid said. Villain attacks are so inconvenient. Kind of why heroes are needed, to stop them. Well, I'm glad you lot are okay, Izumi said before she leaned a bit to the side to speak to Kleiner. Hey Kleiner. You okay as well? Why yes. I am fine, Kleiner said, still hiding her face behind her. Wait a second, Achiko said, looking slightly annoyed. Didn't you say you didn't understand English yesterday? I am sorry. Kleiner said, shaking slightly. MMYAA ability TTTTUUU undersessa stand ANSSS speak other LLL languages GGGTSFFF fuzzy WWW when I'm en nervosus, she said, Izumi translating for her girlfriend. Achiko nodded. No doubt the poor girl was super nervous yesterday, what with being involved in a real villain attack. Izumi then stepped forward towards Kleiner. Well, I'm glad you're okay as well. We probably wouldn't have been able to beat the villains without you. So I wanted to thank you for your help yesterday, by giving you a Durandal plush as a way of thanks. BBB but WWY. I already pre-ordered 001, Kleiner said, looking confused. Izumi nodded. She had no doubt that Kleiner had pre-ordered a Durandal plush. Achiko had almost fainted when she noticed that there were over 1 million pre-orders on the first day alone, and more just kept coming in. She had no idea so many people wanted the plush. To be fair, she did accidentally become a meme with it, followed by her winning the sports festival. So no doubt it would be very popular. Well yes, you probably did, Izumi said. But that's the regular-sized one. Not a 1-to-1 sized plush, she said suddenly holding a life-sized version of her Durandal plush that she asked Momo to make. It wasn't the only one, there was one other. When the fuck did you make that? Durandal asked. This morning, Izumi replied. Asked Momo to make it. Of course. Kleiner's eyes started to sparkle at the sight of the large wolf plush. Is T that for me? She asked, a hand slowly reaching forwards. Izumi nodded as she passed the large Durandal plush to her. Yep. It's all yours. It's a thank you for helping us out yesterday. We wouldn't have been able to save everyone without your help. Kleiner's eyes sparked as she took the life-sized plush, holding it alongside the other wolf plush she was holding. Thank you, she said, not a sign of a stutter in sight. Izumi beamed, glad that Kleiner enjoyed her gift. You're welcome. Why is it whenever someone give Kleiner a gift it's always wolf-themed? Harold wondered. Because she really likes wolves, Astrid replied. So, are you guys doing anything? We were just about to go over to the fighting arena. There's a fighting arena? Sue said. Harold nodded. Yep. It's for one-on-one fights, and you're only allowed to fight in it once. It's to prevent people from hogging it or from fighting too much and hurting themselves. That doesn't stop my classmates and our fellow students from Iscariot and Helsing from hogging it for a bit and seeing which school is best. That got Izumi's attention. Watching the other students fight would be great to watch. Plus she can analyze their quirks in the process. You. An annoyingly British-sounding voice said just as Izumi was about to say that she would like to go and watch them fight. Everyone sighed, realizing that they were about to be dragged into something they really didn't want to be dragged into. The fact that they could tell just by the sound of the guy's voice only made it worse. They all turned to see someone about their age, maybe a bit older, dressed looking like an upper-class twat from the Regency era, just minus the wig and outlandish makeup. Who the fuck is this pompous-looking idiot? Harold asked, saying what was on everyone's minds. The obviously British kid stormed over to them and stood in front of Izumi. You. The lower-class harlot who showed us up. How dare you act so irrationally? Izumi and the others just stared at this odd guy who just showed up out of nowhere and started insulting her. They had no idea who he was or why he was here. What are you talking about? Izumi asked, sounding confused. I've known this guy for less than a second and already I want to stab him, Himiko said, brandishing one of her swords. Get in line, Durandal said quietly. The moment I get a chance, I'm shooting him with a rocket. I can provide you with one if you need it, Ribbit, Sue added. You know perfectly well what I'm referring to, the British guy said. That insulting display you showed yesterday. Defeating that villain before the pros. Oh god, he was at the party last night, Chiharu said with a sigh. Izumi was rather confused by what this guy was saying. Insulting? How was defeating the leader of those villains insulting? You should have been a good student, stayed out of it, and left it to the pros, the annoying British guy continued. And what was I supposed to do? Sit back and do nothing whilst the villains rob the building? Izumi replied. Besides, I didn't do anything. The island's security forces saved the day. Oh, we all know that to be a lie, the guy said. That green hair of yours was poking out of that armor. Plus All Might used your hero name. And where's your proof that that was me? Izumi asked, starting to get a little tired of him. Also, who are you anyway? The British kid scoffed. You don't know who I am. How dare you? I have you know that my family is uninteresting and boring British waffling. Izumi and the others all just watched as this annoying British kid waffled on and on about who he was and how important he and his family was. Although admittedly none of them caught any of it due to how uninteresting it was. More uninteresting and boring British waffling. And if you weren't some filthy commoner, you would already know all that. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Momo asked. I got none of that. The British kid looked insulted. Of course a Japanese whore would fail to listen to me. Maybe you should be re-educated only to stop speaking when Momo created a cannon and aimed it at his groin. I'm sorry, what was that again? She asked, a calm but furious look on her face. A look that was shared by Nijire and the rest of the Snuggle Squad. She was going to shoot this guy in the dick. And this time, it wasn't going to be an accident. Oh, now I know who you are, Izumi said, noting the small smirk appearing on the British kid's face. You're the guy who called CI Academy a fifth-rate school after Redcoat managed to beat the villain attack in less than a second. The British kid fumed. I will not be insulted by some lower-class pleb from a seventh-rate school, he said before he took off one of his gloves and slapped her on the face with it. Izumi dodged the glove, thanks to danger sense, and retaliated by decking him in the face. Okay, maybe she's been watching way too many Mirko videos lately. The gathered students just stood there flabbergasted by Izumi's actions. Yes, the guy had it coming, but they did not expect Izumi to just deck the guy in the face like that. To be fair, he did try and slap her on the face. Not a smart move. Harold, meanwhile, just loudly slurped his cola. Well, he sure had that coming. Astrid nodded. Seems that even an all-loving cinnamon roll like Izumi has a limit. Momo leaned over to Izumi. You are, Izumi. That was a challenge. What? Izumi asked, looking confused. Slapping someone on the face with a glove is a very, very old way to issue a challenge, Momo explained. It was commonly used by nobles. Then why didn't he say so? Izumi asked. Why did he use some archaic form of issuing a challenge? Just say, I challenge you to a duel. Momo just shrugged as the British kid got back up. Trusted Japanese bimbo to also be uncultured he said before Achiko grabbed his face with one hand, her pinky finger held up. Say that again. I dare you, she growled, her eyes staring into the young man's soul. Izumi sighed as she put a hand on her girlfriend's shoulder. Achiko, please, don't throw him into the sun, she said. The British kid looked relieved. At least, not yet anyway, she said, causing the guy to pale. I still have to answer his poorly worded challenge. Oh, so the lower-class pleb wishes to fight me, the British kid said, trying his best to look smug. Well then, pre-dash. Yes, Izumi said bluntly, completely ignoring the British kid's waffling. Now, where can we sort out this duel? Well, the fighting arena we were talking about is nearby, Harold said. You can fight there. If you can convince my fellow Millennium students, as well as the Helsing and Iscariot students to let you interrupt our little three-way tournament. Great, Izumi said before she walked off towards the fighting arena, dragging the British kid behind her, looking like he had realized his mistake and wanted to get off this wild ride. Spoiler, the ride never ends. He is so dead, Himiko said with a grin. Like that was ever in doubt, Durandal said before the group followed them. As they walked, their homeroom teacher watched them from one of the tables of the cafe they visited the day before. 4 other women were sitting with her, fellow teachers from Millennium, Iscariot, Helsing, and Guardian academies. The first woman looked to be in her early 20s. She had a tall and lanky figure, with glowing blue eyes and freckled cheeks, and long blue-tinted black hair. She wore a dark blue-purple suit, a dark pink dress shirt, a green tie, and black shoes. She also wore glasses and white gloves. And had a musket lying against the table by her side. The second woman had neck-length, straw-colored hair, and gray-green eyes. She wore what looked like an armored priest uniform, as well as glasses. There were also bandages around her nose, cheeks, and chin, covering scars received during the Dr. Necro incident. The third woman had platinum blonde hair, deep red eyes, and a very voluptuous and buxom figure. She wore a burgundy-red combat uniform with the emblem of Helsing Academy on it that seemed a bit tight on her, and black combat boots. As well as a big fuck-off gun on her back. It was more like a cannon that had been pulled off of a tank than anything. The fourth woman had neck-length brown hair and eyes, as well as a somewhat curvy body. She wore a sort of biker jacket thing that showed off her midriff, black shorts and boots. And had a Dragunov sniper rifle by her side. The 5 women watched as the group of students as they passed, occasionally taking a sip from their drinks. Is that one of your students, Kana? The pro-hero Jajiran asked, sipping on a milkshake that also contained blood. Kana nodded. Yep. That's Yusako. But who's that kid she's dragging behind her? He's not one of ours, the pro-hero police girl, long story, said with a sigh. He's from Camelot. A prestigious boys' hero school. To be honest, it produces decent heroes, once you beat the rich idiot out of them. And he's being dragged to his supposed doom by one of UA's strongest first years, the pro-hero Piaggio said with a raspy, slightly masculine voice. Despite being of German descent, she was an Italian pro-hero. Looks like it, the pro-hero the White Death remarked. A few moments later the 5 of them said, he's fucked, in unison. Like I said, they get smarter once you beat the rich idiot out of them, police girl said. Well, he's certainly going to get that kicked out of him, Kana said, knowing how much Izumi had been improving her kicks as of late. He probably won't get kicked in the balls, but she no doubt will kick him in the face. The group soon arrived at the fighting arena. The first thing they noticed was the large number of hero students standing around it. Izumi recognized most of them as students from Europe's big three hero schools: Millennium, Iscariot, and Helsing. There was a fourth school, France's Arc Academy, but recent actions by its principal have put its top hero school status into doubt, and two of its rival schools, Napoleon Academy and Montcut College of Heroism, are making place to grab their crown. It's only a matter of time before one of them takes Arc's place as France's top hero school. When the group approached, they noticed a match was already underway, between a guy who was shooting tank shells out of his hair, and a guy who looked to be made from string. No, check that, he was made from spaghetti. Quirks were so fascinating. And weird. As they approached, two Millennium students noticed them. "Oh hey, Harold," a female student who looked like she was built like a tank said as the group walked over. "You took your time getting here. What's with the UA students?" "Hey guy," Harold said with a smile. "Don't mind the UA students, some British hero student decided to challenge the girl who won UA's sports festival." "Yep," Izumi said, letting go of the guy she was dragging behind her, who, incidentally, collapsed onto the floor, much to the enjoyment of her friends. "You speak German?" The other student, a boy with jet black hair and 4 eyes said, sounding surprised. "Yep," Izumi replied with a nod. "There was an interview with All Might and Blitz, and I want to watch it without subtitles." "You learn German just to watch one interview with All Might?" Harold asked, looking surprised. "Yes," Izumi replied with a smile. "Do not judge me. I am a hero nerd and I'm proud of it." "Noted," Harold said before turning to his classmates. "So, is there a fight slot free?" "There is, but it might take a while, we've got a lot of matches to get through." "Don't worry, I can wait," Izumi said, wanting to watch the others fight so she could learn more about their quirks. "So, what are the rules?" "Oh, I'm sure the rules are simple, just fight each other until one person either taps out or is unable to continue," the British guy said. "I'm sure even a commoner like you can understand that." Astrid rolled her eyes. "Of course he knows German." "Oh God, why is there a guy from Camelot Academy here?" One of the Helsing students groaned. "He fucked about with UA's resident adorable bunny," Harold explained with a shrug. "So Yusako here is going to help him find out." "Oh," the Helsing student said with a nod. "Have them go next." Another Helsing student, who was wearing what looked like a burned clown mask, shouted. "I can't stand those Camelot wankers." The annoying British guy huffed. Of course the students of a third-rate school would refer to their betters in such a vulgar way. Izumi gave the guy a confused look. Third-rate school? Helsing Academy was the UK's top hero school, on par with UA. She didn't even know anything about this Camelot Academy. Okay people. Some annoying Camelot student is going up against UA's Yusako next. The masked Helsing student announced. Anyone who disagrees has obviously never dealt with an upper-class twat. There was a loud murmur of agreement. Seems like the students were willing to pause their little tournament to watch the guy get his arse handed to him. Achiko smirked. This guy was not making any friends. The match between the tank hair guy and spaghetti guy finished, with spaghetti guy winning. "Beat his ass, Izumi." Achiko encouraged, her thoughts shared by the rest of the girls. "You got it," Izumi nodded back with a smile before making her way to her side of the ring. She smiled as she walked out into the arena, the announcer announcing her entrance. Once again, they called her Bunny. But by now she was used to it. Not that she couldn't really complain about it. She was dressed like a bunny. Really needed to update her costume design in preparation for the new one she'll get after summer. "This is going to be fun to watch," Durandal said. He would have been smirking if he had a mouth. The annoying British kid strode into the ring like he owned the place, but Izumi could see a little bit of sweat on him. She didn't pay much attention to his introduction, only getting that he had an overly long name. As well as something else that was rather confusing. And from the UK. Representing Camelot Academy's general education course. Izumi blinked. This guy was a general education student? As in, not a hero course student. WTF was this guy thinking when he decided to walk over to a bunch of hero students, insult them, and then challenge one of them? Especially one who won her school's sports festival. Well, he wasn't going to last long. The announcer started the match. Izumi's grin went feral as she deployed smokescreen, letting the purple smoke fill the arena. And, thanks to the goggles she was still wearing because Melissa still hadn't come up with a way to take them off, she could still see the guy through the smoke. She'd happily use these as part of her normal kit, that is, if she could take them off. The annoying British kid gasped as he looked around, a shocked look on his face. Wait, where did this smoke come from? Your quirk doesn't allow you to do this? Who are you to say what my quirk can and cannot do? Izumi smirked as she shot around behind the guy and kicked him in the back, sending him flying into the opposing wall. Meanwhile, those watching couldn't really see anything due to the smoke, only the occasional shape in the smoke, as well as the sounds of the British guy getting his arse handed to him. Okay, that's new, Chiharu remarked. When did Izumi learn how to make a smokescreen? About a week ago I think, Momo replied as Achiko blushed slightly. I was passing by her room when she just shot out of it, purple smoke coming out of the room. I thought she was testing out a smoke bomb May had made. But I guess I was wrong. Achiko let out a sigh of relief. She was glad that Momo didn't add the part about Izumi's manifesting black whip. Unfortunately for her, the reason why Momo hadn't spoken about it was because she had written far too many fics about the green bunny using that particular ability. And now she could make a smokescreen. That too had interesting potential uses. She should really stop writing smut-involving exps of her friends. Except for Tsu, Himiko, or Nijire, those three just do not care and wanted more of her work. Hey girls, what's going on here? Psycho asked as she and Rolls walked up behind them. Izumi's kicking some annoying British kid in the arse, ribbit, Tsu replied. Okay, Psycho said. Is the British kid's quirk the smokescreen? The girls shook their heads. Nope, that's Izumi, Momo said. Looks like she can do a bit more with the energy she can stockpile. She what? Psycho said, sounding surprised. Looks like her quirk is getting more powerful, Rolls remarked. Quirks are so impressive and powerful. I can see why the heretics are so interested in this world, and why they must be stopped. What is that girl's quirk? One of the nearby students wondered. Bullshit, Durandal replied with a shrug. Kleiner meanwhile was furiously writing something down in a notebook she was not holding moments ago, muttering it like a million words per second. Her two wolf plushies hanging off of her back. Good lord, she is just like Izumi, the other girls in the Snuggle Squad thought. The fight, if you could call it that, continued a bit more. The smoke Izumi had created soon dispersed, revealing Izumi with her legs wrapped around the British guy's head, with the most Merkel-like grin on her face. The girls in the Snuggle Squad plus Psycho and Rolls all blushed, as did several other students. None of them expected Izumi to try and finish the match by choking the guy out between her nice thighs. God, I wish that was me, Himiko said, eyes glued to the scene before her. Same, Achiko, Momo, Tsu, Nijire, Mei and Chiharu all added with a nod, their blushes getting slightly brighter. Rolls nodded in agreement. She too would like to be in that position right now. Maybe she should ask Psycho to add a bit more meat to those thighs of hers. Make them a bit more thicker. And once again, we see the appearance of feral Izumi, Durandal said with a sigh. I really wish we could train that out of her. The last thing we need is for Mirko to take an interest in her. Unfortunately for Durandal, several people were filming the match, and would later go on to upload them onto the internet. Ryukyu would later find these videos and send them to her rabbit friend, who would go on to remark, oh, so that's where that feeling came from. Meanwhile, back in the ring, the British guy tried, and failed, to break free from Izumi's headlock. GG get off of MMRE yo UH harlot. He grunted, struggling to talk. How about no, Izumi replied with a smirk. You fucked around, and now you're finding out. There was a groan from within her head. I'd ask when Ninth got so feral, but she's probably been like that for a while, the voice of the second user said. Okay, I take back what I said, the voice she thought belonged to the third user said. Izumi ignored the voices since she was busy dealing with someone else. This annoying British guy took priority. Honestly, this was some good stress relief. After a few more moments of choking the guy out, she released the guy from her hold. Mainly because he was now unconscious. Yusako wins by knockout. The announcer shouted. Izumi sighed as she stood up and made her way out of the ring. Like she said, this was going to be fun. Okay, so she didn't get to find out what the guy's quirk was, but with an attitude like that, she quirky lost interest in whatever his quirk was. No one talks badly to her friends. Those who do, and those who think they could harm them, are going to be made to pay. She'll protect them all, no matter what. Meanwhile, all the way back in Japan, Tamura was looking at the news on his phone. Villain attack on I Island thwarted by island's security teams, he said before he took a sip from his drink. Must have been a pathetic bunch of villains if local security teams were able to take them out. They were able to hack the island's security systems and capture a room full of heroes, Kurojiri said as he cleaned another glass. Yes, but they didn't kill any of them, Tamura grumbled. Why have a room full of captured heroes and not harm any of them? They're at your mercy, kill a few of them to show you mean business. They even had All Might captured and they didn't do shit to him. I would have been quite pissed if they had because he's my kill, but that doesn't change the fact that they should have done something. He sighed, fools deserve to get beaten up by a bunch of security guards. They were the only two present at the bar, as the others were out. Volcano, Gust Boy and Mr. Compress were out acquiring some more funds, whilst Curator, Bearhead and Stone Crusher were out causing general mayhem for the heroes. Just small stuff really, nothing too big. They didn't want the heroes to realize that the volcano thieves and wild villains were working for the League now. Not yet anyway. He was waiting for the right time to announce their alliance. There was something else he was waiting for, more information on that hero Shinigami. He hadn't gotten much, especially after he told him one of his contacts was Shinigami. He needed to know who she was, and how she knew Sensei. He wanted her dead as well, but she needed to answer a few questions before she died. Speaking of Sensei, he had been quiet as of late, too quiet for Tamura's liking. Normally when Sensei goes quiet it's only for a few days. But it's been more than a week since he last spoke to him, and he was getting worried. When he asked the doctors about him they said he was fine. But he didn't know if he could trust their word at face value. He hadn't seen Sensei face to face in 6 years, talking to him over the TV just wasn't the same. He didn't even know if he was still alive anymore. If he was, why wasn't he allowed to see him? He trusted Sensei, he was there when no one else was. However, he didn't trust the doctors. Kyudai was nice, but it wasn't what he said that worried him, it was what he didn't say. Questions left unanswered or with unsatisfactory answers that didn't answer the question. And then there was the therapist. He didn't like him, not by a long shot. There was just something about him that rubbed him the wrong way. He just did not trust them. How did he know that Sensei was still alive? How did he know that the doctors weren't just using a voice filter to sound like him? The tech existed, he used it before to prank call a few heroes. If he could see him, just once more, in person, then all his doubts would just go away and he'd focus back on destroying this society. Hell, he'd even drop his investigation into Shinigami. He just needed to know that Sensei was still alive. A voice can be anyone, but a body belongs to only one person. He sighed and focused back on the news, planning his next move in his head. One day he'll see Sensei again, but until then, he needs to keep planning this world's downfall. UA was sending its hero students to a summer training camp. Maybe he could attack it. He just needed to know where it was. Unknown to Tamura, All for One was awake and watching his prodigy. He was worried about him, but not for the reasons you would think. For his grand plan to work, he needed Tamura's will to be strong enough to overpower the vestiges of One for All as well as whoever All Might had given it to. But Tamura had gotten distracted, looking into someone he thought he killed over a decade ago? Or had the prototype finally grown a spine and decided to get her revenge? Whatever the case, he could not afford to let her do to Tamura what that freak did to the prototype. He could not afford to lose Tamura, he was too valuable to his plan. He needed his body to take one for all back, he would not be denied, not after all this time. He may be a patient man, but even he had his limits. He needed a backup plan, someone else he could pass his quirk onto and take over just in case Tamura was taken away from him. Someone who had strong enough will and could be easily manipulated. If he had a mouth, he would have smirked. Kyudai had said that he was approached by someone looking to become stronger. He would do nicely as his backup. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 65. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.